Hiya folks, it's Kikoskia here, and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity. And when last we left off, we saw another vision of Theos on this bridge, where we, in a past life as his Inquisitor, were about to be tasked with a very dangerous mission to deal with the supposed heretic. And then we had a conversation with the two elms. Specifically, the dryads that inhabit them, Sidha and Rehenwen. They gave us a lot of information. Namely, that getting to Theos won't directly help us deal with us slowly going mad due to all of the awakening memories within us. He can't stop us being a watcher. He can't remove us being a watcher. But if we learn all that we know about our past life from Theos, there is a chance that learning this will save us from going mad. We also know where Theos has gone, to an ancient city beneath Twin Elms. To get there, we're going to have to jump down a pit on Burial Isle. The only way to survive doing that is to petition the gods for their protection. And we can do that within Teir Evron. Let's have a look at all these notifications, get rid of them, and then head inside. I get the feeling the gods aren't going to do this for nothing. They're going to want something in return. Gods are like that. And here we are in the Hall of Stars. Let's have a look around, shall we? There's probably a lot to see, and a fair bit to read. We have many books, Book of the Hunt, Daily Affirmations of Focus and Efficiency, excerpts from the Sermon of Struggle, the Midwife's Memoirs, and the Queen That Was and Still Is. We've read this one. We've also read this one. Have I read this one? No, I haven't. Choice is a luxury we earn through peace. Struggle is our fundamental nature. Even when our war banners sit idle, mankind foments strife. Friends argue with fists, lovers kindle jealousy, merchants compete with lies. Wherever mankind goes, struggle follows. Magron is goddess of fire and war, not bloodshed and conquest, though many in Raid Ceres would tell it differently. How bitter they must be that Magron's priests were able to destroy a god made manifest. How bitter indeed. We who worship Magron are not addled barbarians or cloistered mystics. We are soldiers, armourers, watchmen and bodyguards, artisans of conflict and protectors of our families and flags. We do not salivate for battle. We view war as unwelcome, but struggle is our fundamental nature. We do not pray for strife, we pray for wisdom to resolve it quickly. We do not wish for war, but when it inevitably must be fought, we find divine ecstasy in discipline, efficiency, and excellence. Magron, guide us to the battle that is just and fair. Let us be your fire that burns away the profane, leaving only the righteous. If struggle is our fundamental nature, let victory be our inevitable state of grace. Then we have the Midwife's Memoirs. My mother lived every note of life's song. Bringing me into this world was her last verse. For this my father scorned me and abandoned me. And for this very same fact, my town's midwife, an adherent of Hylia, raised me as her own. When I came of age, I learned that Hylia visits us on the screams of women in childbirth. And when a woman dies giving birth to her child, her soul is carried away and reborn as an avian attendant of Hylia's court. Through the miracle of the Queen of Birds, my mother has been with me, watching over me my whole life. I wear the fetish charms of a cloud singer, the bird I dreamt my mother became. My feathery trinkets look gaudy and unbecoming, but it is a signal fire to women in need that I am a trained midwife, blessed by Hylia and living every note of life's song. The Queen of Birds wills us to shepherd new life into the world, and not, as other gods so often desire, to end it. A follower of Magron once mocked my faith, saying I worship paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods and the brutal necessities that they must oversee. But is not language, love, the arts, and creativity that which separates us from simple beasts? Hylia allows us to rise above our savage, feral selves. I am often amused that, upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where's the real temple of Hylia?" Perhaps they think hallowed ground requires oppressive stoneworks and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize the bird queen stands not on ceremony. She makes herself manifest in the music of birds and in the beauty of the ubiquitous open sky. Hylia prefers the worship of two children singing over 1,000 petitioners silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us, and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song. It surprises me how many fail to embrace this divine calling. And the queen that was and still is. I don't think we've read this. Dear sisters, do you still remember your first deliverance? When you strangled your first wrongdoer, did you see the moment when life became death? Could you see the instance when your victim realized that Woedica forgets nothing? When Woedica takes back her throne, will you face her with pride, knowing you have held to your own oaths, or will you be amongst the word breakers? Woedica teaches vengeance and memory, and while she is in exile, we must be her eyes and ears that let no injustice slip from record. We must be the clenched fist that silences the lying breath. When Woedica takes back her throne, all the injustices that have slipped through the cracks of history will be righted. The villains hiding in plain sight amongst the innocent will feel the burned queen's choking grasp. Pray that you live to see the day when you will join our queen in miscleansing of the wicked. But know, my sisters, that we must be ready to see the end of our days without the returning of our queen. For she will take back her throne, but it may be our daughters that serve the restored court. We must continue to live as we have always lived, hated by the other faiths, even though we place justice above our own well-being. At least the empire of Adir still holds our creed in proper esteem. It is a proper sign of respect that by imperial custom, our clergy must oversee a contract for it to be legally binding. For who else understands the value of remembering one's oath than Woedica's faithful? And let us not count our current blessings, for we still enjoy the support of the Paladin Order of Bastille Garrot. They too understand that society is built and broken by the oaths and rules of its people. When Woedica takes back her throne, my family will know that I was right to commit my life to the exiled queen. When Woedica takes back her throne, the Strangler will stop being a story told to frighten our daughters, but a hero woven into parables that teach our children justice. When Woedica takes back her throne, she will bring her flawless memory with her. Every transgression, every crime, and every injustice will be revealed. When Woedica takes back her throne, even the gods won't be spared their due retribution. Grim reading.
I'm here.
But in there is likely a clue. We also have books here. Final Journal of Jonas, which I believe I have already read. The Missives of the Hand Occult. I believe I have... Yes, I've read this one as well. And The Many Faces of Berath. I don't think I've read this one. How fitting that we know the god of cycles, doorways, mortality, and inevitability as Berath, while the Valians know this very same god as Sirono. For if nothing else, Berath teaches us that duality exists in all things. There is life in death, and death in life. Embrace this duality, and you honour Berath. In the ruins Erglanfath, Berath is depicted in the form of two semi-skeletal figures, one male, one female. Bowen I Anku, and Anku I Bowen. Literally, life in death, and death in life in the Glanfathan tongue. Male and female, inside and outside. Life and death. We often think of Berath by imagining two sides of a coin, or the two end points of a journey. It is said that Berath has the most petitioners of every god, and this is likely true. Who amongst us has not prayed for the cycle to hiccup? Who has not, in a moment of sadness, yelled at Berath to make an exception for our fallen loved ones? Berath may not rescue our loved ones, but it answers our prayers in its own divine way. Berath is a god that makes life end in death, and it is also the god that makes death end in life. Berath Serrano, Bowen I Enq, Enq I Bowen. Whichever of the many names you prefer to use deserves our prayers, for it has given us the promise of life's eternal renewal.
I'm here.
And now we'll read these. We have 10 Years of Dawn, Selected Correspondences of Giftbringer Idem, and the Enigmatic God of Cold. Young students are often confused by Berath and Rimgand's seemingly overlapping roles in holding dominion over death. Berath oversees the cycles of life, death, and rebirth. Rimgand oversees the cold, destructive act of death itself. This difference is often difficult for novices to appreciate until they've lost a loved one and endured the absence for a time. It is Berath that determines we will be reborn, just as certainly as we will die, but Rimgand does the executioner's acts. Rimgand shows us that all life ends in stillness. I need only show them a symbol of Rimgand, the bone-white aurochs skull found carved within the most ancient of Engwithan ruins. It is a symbol of death and doom in every culture. Any child with 4 winters under his belt needs no introduction to the ancient symbol. Rimgand embodies not just death, but all manifestations of collapse, be they famine, plague, or simple bad luck. Rimgand is a primal god, silent and inscrutable as death itself. He makes himself known with his passing, not by proclamation. There are innumerable stories of the god's terrifying passage through Relanza Beora. When the beast of winter stirs, bitter winds and beastly howling follow the creature's every move. Wherever the beast plants a hoof, all life withers to dust. The faithful of Rimgand insist that even another god's life can end in stillness. They claim the other gods must flee from the beast of winter's mastery over death. But we know not if this boast holds true. Though the beast of winter is shrouded in snowy clouds, those who have seen the shaggy white monster claim that the souls of the fallen can be seen clinging, or perhaps frozen, to the beast's fur. The dwarves of the boreal south have numerous stories that tell a similar plot. A brash hero seeks out the beast of winter to rescue the souls trapped in its fur. These tales never end well, for even if the hero saves his beloved soul, the hero dies in the process. For it is not a proper tale of Rimgand, unless the hero's life ends in stillness. I don't think I've read this one either. Let's read Selected Correspondences of Giftbringer Iden. Sing, O ocean waves, of Ondra's sorrow, of her unrequited love for the unattainable moon. Sing of the ocean's sorrow, for that we may forget our own. Each day the tides reenact Ondra's longing for the great moon. The waters reach out at high tide, yearning for the heavenly body, only to slump into low tide when the moon proves unattainable. You asked me once why I loved Ondra so dearly. How could I go from a life on dry land to being a devotee to the goddess of oceans? I sing of the ocean's sorrow so that I may forget my own. It is Ondra's message that speaks to my heart. I've devoted my life to helping others discard painful memories, for that is the gift Ondra gave me. When I lost my young daughter, my wife and I were inconsolable until a gift-bearer offered to take my toddler's toys and cast them into the deepest waters. Truth be told, I and the other gift-bearers I know have never even spoken to Ondra. She is largely silent, and when she does speak, she uses floods and tidal waves instead of words. But we sing of the ocean's sorrow so that others may forget theirs. Ondra's story, the story of desire unanswered, actually matters to people like you and me. Magran cannot steer you to victory over sadness. Hylia cannot force joy down a crying throat. Only Ondra can give us the strength to persevere when life seems without worth. And that is the answer to your question regarding why I love the goddess so dearly. And finally, 10 Years of Dawn. 10 years I tilled the Vorlus leaf, and 10 years I told myself that living in St. Widewin's footsteps would bring me rebirth. Each dawn I'd pray that if thou art in darkness, he shall bring thee light, and each night would bring the same emptiness. For my decade of living as a simple dye farmer, all I have to show for it is a great deal of purple clothing. Aethus has not spoken to us since he appeared as St. Widewin. It is my hope that Aethus would claim me as his next vessel, but alas, the Child of Light remains silent. Every day I practice the ritual of banishing the shadows of the unfaithful. and every day I work my fields in solitude, without sign of Aethus returning. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring thee light. But how long must I remain lost in this long night of abandonment? Is this my punishment for keeping my faith a secret? Is Aethus hiding from me until I shout my reverence for all to hear? Surely he must know that the dear Woodens now hate him and his followers. My countrymen are quick to blame all that is terrible about the Saints' war on those of us still faithful to Aethus. Should they not be angry at the Raid Ceres soldiers? Do the dear Woodens not realize that to dismiss the god of rebirth and redemption is to prevent all hope of healing? As I pen these words, I know that I must continue to till the die leaf. I will awake each day with hope. If thou art in darkness, he shall bring me light. Each day I will pray that the dawn stars visit me, just as they visited St. Widwin in his field of Vorlus. Will they come to me as they came to St. Widwin? As a man and two women, luminescent and perfect? I am told they come to presage new times. I am told many things, and I struggle to find faith to believe it all. And yet, each morning, the sun rises in the eastern sky, and each morning Aethus illuminates my simple plot of land, casting away the shadows of the unfaithful in his golden gaze. I thank thee, Aethus, for all the springs I've had, and all that will come. I am in darkness. Please bring me light.
I'm here.
I don't think Aethus is going to be answering our call for help, but I'm sure some of the gods will. I'm sure some of them will. The only question... So I'd say the only question is, how do I pray? And I think I pray over there. But that'll be for next time, folks, as when we come back, we've done a lot of reading. And if you didn't know what you needed to say to get the gods' attention, those books would tell you. I have a pretty good idea of what each of the gods represents, so I don't think it'll be too difficult to get their attention with a prayer. Presuming, of course, they want to listen to me. Some of them might not want to. But that'll be for next time. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're not. And if you are subscribed, press that bell for those notifications. And I'll catch you next time, folks. And I'll see you then. Later.